It's one of those moments people pause, rewind, and stare at again, convinced something must be wrong with the image. The frame looks distorted, almost unnatural, like it's been stretched or digitally altered. But it hasn't. What you're seeing is completely real, captured in a split second that no one planned and no one could recreate. And that single moment opens a door to something far more fascinating. Because hidden inside one of the most beloved films ever made are dozens of tiny imperfections, unexpected accidents, and behind-the-scenes realities that somehow slip through every layer of production. When audiences first watch the film, everything feels effortless. The music flows, the characters feel alive, and every scene looks polished to perfection. It creates the illusion that what you're watching came together smoothly, like a perfectly rehearsed performance from beginning to end. But the truth is far more complicated. Beneath that polished surface lies a production filled with challenges, improvisations, and moments where things didn't go according to plan at all. Take that famous opening sequence. It feels serene and controlled, like every movement was carefully choreographed. But the reality was much harsher. The equipment used to capture that sweeping shot wasn't gentle or subtle. It was loud, forceful, and unpredictable. As it moved toward the actress, the air pressure created wasn't something she could ignore. It pushed against her body, disrupted her balance, and forced her to react in real time. That strange frame people question? It's not a mistake in editing. It's a human reaction caught mid-motion, raw, unfiltered, and completely authentic. Moments like that weren't rare during filming. In fact, many scenes that look calm and controlled on screen were anything but behind the camera. Actors had to adapt constantly, adjusting to unexpected conditions while staying in character. It's easy to forget how physically demanding filming can be, especially when everything looks so graceful in the final cut. Even something as simple as singing while performing could become a challenge. For some cast members, stepping into their roles meant learning entirely new skills from scratch. Imagine having to master an instrument quickly enough to make it look natural on camera, all while delivering a convincing emotional performance. That pressure doesn't disappear just because the camera is rolling. If anything, it intensifies. There's a particular kind of vulnerability in those moments. You're not just performing. You're being watched closely, knowing that every small mistake could be captured forever. And yet, some of those mistakes are exactly what give the film its authenticity. They remind us that what we're seeing isn't perfection. It's effort, persistence, and sometimes pure instinct. One of the most surprising aspects of the production is how often reality clashed with expectation. Scenes that appear simple were sometimes the most difficult to execute. A calm setting could hide a complicated setup, and a brief moment on screen might have taken hours, or even days, to get right. And even then, not everything went as planned. There were instances where timing slipped just slightly. A line delivered a fraction too early, a reaction that didn't perfectly match the moment, or a background detail that didn't quite align. These aren't things most viewers notice on a first watch. In fact, many people never notice them at all. But once you do, they're impossible to unsee. And yet, they don't ruin the experience. If anything, they add to it. There's something strangely comforting about realizing that even a film considered nearly flawless isn't actually perfect. It reminds us that perfection isn't what makes something meaningful. It's the emotion behind it, the sincerity, and the way it connects with people. Some of the most memorable scenes carry subtle inconsistencies that only reveal themselves under close inspection. A prop might shift position between shots. A character's movement might not line up perfectly with the sound. These are the kinds of details that slip through during editing. Not because no one cared, but because filmmaking is an incredibly complex process. Think about how many moving parts are involved. Cameras, lighting, sound, performances, timing. Everything has to come together at the same moment. And even with careful planning, small errors are inevitable. The surprising part isn't that these mistakes exist. It's that there are so few of them. There's also the matter of physical sets and environments. What looks like a real lived-in space might actually be a carefully constructed illusion. Walls that appear solid might be temporary structures. Backgrounds that feel expansive might be limited by the constraints of a studio. Filmmakers rely on perspective, angles, and clever design to create a sense of reality. Sometimes that illusion breaks just slightly A scene might suggest depth where there is none. A hiding place might not physically make sense when you really think about it. But in the moment, none of that matters. The story pulls you in, and your brain fills in the gaps without question. It's only when you pause and look closer that the illusion starts to unravel. Another fascinating detail is how sound and visuals don't always align perfectly. A gesture might produce more sound than expected, or a movement might not match what you hear. These are the kinds of continuity issues that happen when scenes are edited together from multiple takes. Each take might have been slightly different, and when combined, those differences can create subtle inconsistencies. But again, most viewers never notice. That's the power of storytelling. When you're emotionally invested, your focus shifts away from technical details. You're not analyzing every frame. You're experiencing the moment. And that's exactly what the filmmakers intended. There's also a deeper layer to all of this. Some of the most impactful moments in the film weren't carefully constructed. They were shaped by real reactions, real emotions, and real challenges. When something unexpected happens and an actor stays in character, it creates a kind of authenticity that can't be scripted. Those moments stand out, even if you don't consciously recognize why. You might feel that something is more intense, more genuine, without realizing it's because what you're seeing wasn't entirely planned. It's a reminder that sometimes the best parts of performance come from unpredictability. And then there are the details that weren't mistakes at all, but choices made for the sake of storytelling. Certain elements were adjusted, simplified, or changed to make the narrative flow more smoothly. Real-life events were reshaped to fit the structure of a film. Characters were combined, timelines were altered, and some realities were softened or intensified. These decisions are part of filmmaking. They're not about deception. They're about creating a story that resonates with audiences. But they also mean that what you see on screen isn't always an exact reflection of reality. That blend of truth and fiction is what makes the film so compelling. It feels real, even when it isn't entirely accurate. And that emotional truth often matters more than factual precision. What's remarkable is how all of these elements, mistakes, adjustments, improvisations, come together to create something cohesive. On paper, it might sound messy, but on screen, it feels seamless. That's the magic of it. The film doesn't succeed because it's flawless. It succeeds because it connects with people. The music, the performances, the story, they all work together to create an experience that feels genuine. And those hidden imperfections, they don't take away from that experience. They enhance it. They remind us that what we're watching wasn't created by machines or algorithms. It was made by people. People who faced challenges, made decisions, adapted to unexpected situations, and poured their energy into bringing a story to life. There's something powerful about that. It changes the way you see the film. Instead of just watching it, you start to appreciate the effort behind it. You notice the small details, the moments that feel slightly off, and instead of questioning them, you understand them. They become part of the story. So the next time you come across that strange frame, the one that looks like it must have been edited, remember that it wasn't. It's a real moment, captured in real time, shaped by real conditions. And it's just one of many. Because hidden within this beloved film are countless moments like that. Moments that reveal the reality behind the illusion. Moments that show just how much work, creativity, and unpredictability went into creating something that feels so effortless. If you watch closely, you'll start to see them everywhere. A slight mismatch here. An unexpected movement there. A detail that doesn't quite add up. But instead of breaking the illusion, they deepen it. They remind you that what you're watching isn't just a story. It's a process, a collection of decisions, challenges, and moments that came together to create something lasting. And maybe that's why the film continues to resonate with audiences after so many years. Not because it's perfect, but because it isn't.